Issue 92. We start out with narration showing someone who had been trudging a desert since 352 hours ago, and annoyingly the panel puts the person's silhouette so we can't tell who it is right away. Why do they have to say hours? Why can't they just tell me in a more clear way how long he's been walking? 352 hours means nothing to me. Apparently, he's on his way to Robotropolis to settle a score with someone he hates. Eggman, probably. After a few comic panels are wasted, we see Sonic in the Forbidden Zone, realizing that the falling meteorites had actually been UFOs filled with overlanders. I think that's pretty unique and refreshing, you know, like, normally when you have aliens, it's a totally different species from human. But in this comic, people in UFOs are actually humans. A blonde woman named Agnes, despite not being 100 years old, is snarky with the Lord Kinto bar about them landing in a desert. So is this Eggman's brother or father? Annoyingly, a little girl screams calling Sonic a wild animal, and Agnes tells her to leave before it would attack, even though it's pretty obvious from Sonic standing upright that he's a person. And the Overlanders really should be aware of Mobians if they know enough about Mobius to program an airship to land near a big urban center. I like how sad Sonic looks at seeing a girl being afraid of him. He really doesn't want that. He really shows that he's a good person. Just as Agnes gets grabbed by a giant combot, Sonic attacks it to save her, which is much to her relief. Hopefully she's recognizing that he's not evil now. Eggman sees the humans through a camera monitor and recognizes Robotnik's brother Colin, muttering to himself that he, as in Robo-Robotnik, actually roboticized his own clone years ago. He of course decides to try to roboticize all of the Overlanders on sight, but first plans a simple ruse to gain their trust. Which is weird since he doesn't try to do that for anyone else. You'd think he'd just simply send his robot to them and get them kidnapped right away. After Colin wonders if the robot was simply trying to protect him from Sonic, even though it was just saying menacingly, "Surrender to Robotnik," which just seems like he's really overthinking things. Somehow, being so out of the loop that he was unaware of who Sonic was and how he's a hero, although he did come from space, Eggman projects a hologram of his head and lies that he designed all of his Protectobots to fight Sonic. Technically, the only thing he's lying about is the name of the bots. Eggman lies that he offers the humans a sanctuary where they'll be safe from the Mobians. I can sort of understand why they buy this. I mean, Eggman's a human, and they probably only trust humans. And after Sonic says in a panic that he's lying, Monkey Khan shows up, and at first seems like he's arbitrarily buying it, but then proves he's against Eggman after all. The humans are buying this hook, line, and sinker, aren't they? We cut to Jeffrey and Hershey playing good cop, bad cop with Mina, with Hershey promising that Sonic won't get in big trouble, making me very suspicious of her making a promise that she can't really keep. What kind of a person does that? That looks like such a slimy, sleazy practice. I'd never trust a cop who pulled that on someone. Mina falls for it, and Hershey wishes with a smile that Jeffrey actually would kiss her in response to his happy remark. Monkey Khan seems bent on destroying Robotropolis, which one makes it way too obvious how glaring it is that this powerful hero hasn't taken down Eggman yet, and two, has him utterly failed to realize that he'd be killing millions of innocent Robians in the process. I mean, if there were no Robians in sight, then it would be fine. Colin tells the humans not to fear the swap bots, and then I get really annoyed at how Monkey Khan is saying while fighting with Sonic that Robotnik roboticized everyone he held dear, right in earshot of the humans, presumably, and yet the humans don't seem to hear any of this and realize Eggman can't be trusted. I hate that in fiction. It's like the characters are totally deaf just because they're off screen. Then the story remembers that Tails exists, having him fly around wondering where Sonic went, and he heartwarmingly high-fives Rotor, seeing him finally back home. And then we cut to Sally's mother, finally pointing out unhappily that she missed Sally's entire childhood. That really is a shame. She asks what her childhood was like and gets a vague answer from Sally while the background changes to a white void for some reason, and she says that she didn't have a family even though she still had a father. But he wasn't really around much, so... But was he really her only family? No grandparents on either side? No cousins? No aunts or uncles? Do you know how hard it is to believe that a royal family would be that small? I mean, with royal families, I guess this is the type of royal family that doesn't restrict marriages to royal people. Look at the European royal family. It's gigantic, and everyone's basically related to each other. Our time is then wasted with Sally recapping stuff that the Queen missed, rather than them actually bonding together. And she surprises her by saying that she was the one in charge of Knothole. Sonic completely takes me out of it by mentioning Pokemon, meaning that I guess Pokemon as a video game franchise exists on Mobius too. Pop culture references don't really work in a fantasy universe that's so far removed from our own world. The Energy Dome shows up right after the humans are led into Robotropolis, which makes me really annoyed because Sonic could have easily destroyed all the swap pods at the speed of sound in Spin Dash form. Not to mention he had Monkey Khan with him, but instead the story seems to forget he has super speed, and the humans get in trouble because of it. It's such artificial forced conflict. The next story is a Sonic Shuffle adaptation of all things. Way to pick the most pointless game ever to do an adaptation of. It starts with Sonic having a dream, so I have to wonder when this took place. And he sees an emerald that he says for some reason isn't like any Chaos Emerald he's ever seen before, even though he should clearly recognize it as the Master Emerald. He sees Amy, Tails, and Knuckles in the emerald, and then they actually show up in front of him, and they're suddenly in a cave, only for the story to completely forget that Amy, Tails, and Knuckles even exist. For some reason, Sonic knows he's in a dream, so I guess he's a frequent lucid dreamer, and he thinks that it's from eating chili dogs, as if that can cause weird dreams. Lumina shows up, saying that she wants to serve as his guide, saying that Sonic subconsciously responded to her cry for help. She then explains that the Master Emerald here is actually the Precious Stone, a gateway to imaginary world, as well as the nexus to its reality, whatever that means. Sonic lampshades the overuse of big words, and Lumina explains that it's a crystal weaved out of the dreams and hopes of people of various dimensions, and its power supports the existence of extra-dimensional worlds. And at this moment, imaginary world is in the gravest of dangers from Void. Void drained the power of the Precious Stone, turning nature to a wasteland, and for some reason turning gentle creatures into carnivores, don't know why, spiraling the world into a course for destruction. But didn't she just say that the Precious Stone's power supports the existence of extra-dimensional worlds? So the stone being drained like that shouldn't just cause these arbitrary side effects in imaginary world. It should wipe out the existence of every world other than the prime one, and way faster than imaginary world right now. Sonic is told to put a bracelet on, with Lumina reminding him that his true nature is that he lives for adventure. How does she know that? Has she been spying on him? And if his true nature is that he lives for adventure, you'd think he would be very disappointed once all the adventure is done, and therefore he wouldn't stick around to be a king with Sally for the rest of his life after the whole thing's over. Which really puts all 20 years later stuff into question. Sonic says that he feels like he's going around in circles because he keeps coming back to a hunk of rock, but then he sees his friends waiting for him in a green sphere. Oh, fantastic! The story just ends! That was worthless. The first story, by Carl Bollers, has Eggman tricking a bunch of overlanders from space into marching to their doors in Robotropolis. And because they're totally isolated from Mobius for years and don't know who to trust, they trust Eggman just because he's a human. And while Sonic is worried about their safety, Monkey Khan, the lone figure who is wandering the desert, lets his rage get the better of him, as while he wants to spite Eggman and his robots as much as possible, he doesn't really care about the overlanders. That's about all of significance that happens. And the second story, by Ken Penders, is a totally worthless exposition dump of Sonic Shuffle. Almost wrote Sonic Shuttle there, which is frustrating because I thought there would be an actual story about the game. But instead it's just an exposition dump about its world, serving as nothing more than an advertisement for a terrible Dreamcast game. This is the kind of game adaptation that I don't want to see. All you have to do is watch the cutscenes of the game on YouTube and you'll get the exact same story. What a wasted opportunity. And since it takes place in Sonic's dreams, it could have never happened to no difference. So it might as well be a non-canon waste of time, when I could have seen what was going on with Knuckles instead. This is the first time in a while that I've actively hated a story in this comic, since the recap issue, I think. So that's saying something.